Alright everybody, welcome back to Patriot Specialized New Driver Edition, where I'm trying to help you, the new drivers, first year drivers, have everything you need to make yourself as successful as possible. On today's episode, I'm going to give you the 8 things that you should always carry with you, should make sure you have you when you get in your first truck, and the 5 things that you never should do if you don't want to aggravate other drivers. So stick around, you're watching Patriot Specialized. Alright, let's jump right in here. I'm currently running in, man, I think I'm still in Wisconsin. Might have crossed over to Minnesota. Currently running up to Dodge Center, Minnesota. And I was talking to some friends of mine, some other drivers, and I put together a list of 8 things that once you made your decision on the company, you've gone through the training program, whatever that might be with that company, you've gone through that training program, now you're getting ready to get in your own truck. There's 8 things that I think you should always make sure you have. I'm going to go ahead and list those 8 things right now. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video, because I'm also going to, at the end, after I'm done talking about the 8 things that you should always have, I'm going to go ahead and give you the 5 things you should never do as a driver if you don't want to aggravate other drivers. So let's jump right in with number 1. The number 1 thing you should make sure you have before you get on. Let's say you've gone through the training. Let's say you've gone through the training program now, and you've got assigned your truck. You went home, spent some time with mom and the kids, or whatever your significant other is. Spent some time with them, and now you're getting ready to get out on the road. Some of the companies out there will provide some of these things. If they don't, I just wanted to list them, give you an idea of some things that you should always make sure you have, that you'll thank me later for it. Some of them seem kind of silly, but at some point you will absolutely thank me for it. So first off, get a GPS. Not only get a GPS, but make sure you get the right GPS. There's another content creator that I watch a lot, and he's got a great saying that GPS stands for getting people stuck. That is true if you have the wrong GPS. Absolutely 100%. Get the right GPS. Make sure you get a GPS that is designed for trucks. You can put in the dimensions of the truck and make sure it doesn't get you stuck. So the right GPS, and also make sure you carry a map. For the love of Pete, get a map. I know when you went to driving school, they showed you how to read a map, or they should have. Make sure you get a map. You always want to check your GPS could be wrong. Even if you don't physically have a map, pull up Google Maps on your phone or whatever and take a look at Google Maps and make sure that your GPS isn't sending you some weird roundabout way, because sometimes they do. They just they think it's better, they think it's faster, they think it's whatever. So make sure you get a map, or at least Google Maps on your phone or a tablet or whatever, where you can just verify the route that the GPS has given you as being probably the quickest route there, with the biggest roads. That's number 1. Number 2, and these are not necessarily in order of importance. They were just things I thought of, and I put them down. So they're not necessarily in order of importance. If you are, again, assuming that you signed on with a flatbed company, rain gear. Holy smokes, will you thank me for getting rain gear. Rain gear, rain gear. Our shippers and our receivers, they don't care if it's raining. Well, they care if it's raining, but they're still going to unload you or load you in the rain. It happens. And then once they're done loading, half the time they will load you inside and then tell you to pull outside to finish securing so that they can get another truck in the door and get them loaded. Now you pulled outside, they're nice and dry inside. Now you pulled outside and you're getting soaking wet in the rain. So rain gear is something you will absolutely thank me for telling you to have. Rain gear. It doesn't have to be the best. In fact, don't go out and buy the highest dollar rain gear you get, because chances are you're going to trash it. You're going to ruin it within weeks If you have to use it a lot, you're definitely going to ruin it quick. So don't necessarily go out and buy the high dollar, most expensive rain gear. In fact, I would recommend you don't do that. So at the very least, if you don't mind getting soaked, if it's nice and warm out, and you're like, hey man, you know what? That water might feel good on this 100-degree day in Arizona, then carry an extra set of clothes. Obviously, you're going to have clothes in your bag. You're going to be prepared for the time that you're out. Make sure you throw a few extras in there because you just don't know what's going to happen. The number 3 thing that I definitely think is extra shoes. Again, same reason. Shoes get wet, shoes get muddy, shoes fall apart. Anything can happen. Make sure you got an extra pair of shoes. You see me all the time in my videos. If you watch my Specialized side, you see me all the time. I'm changing my work boots into my driving shoes. I also carry another pair of shoes in the back to replace my driving shoes, and I carry flip-flops, shower shoes, those kind of things. So when I'm walking in and out of the truck stop or whatever after I get a shower, I carry extra stuff there too. So that, again, you will thank me for that. It seems dumb. It seems like something simple, but I guarantee that at some point in the first year of driving, you're going to be like, man, I wish I had an extra pair of shoes, or man, I wish I had that rain gear, or whatever. I wish I'd have listened to Brett on that YouTube channel, and I really wish I would have got this. So I promise you will say that. Food. Oh my gosh. Number 4. Make sure you always have some kind of snacks, food, whatever. If you're a health guy, it doesn't matter what kind of food you have. Make sure you have something to eat in your trucks. You will get stuck. You will absolutely 100% get stuck somewhere where you're hungry. I promise you, whether it's at a customer, a receiver, traffic jam, you will be hungry at some point and you will want this stuff in your truck. The other side of that, if you're like me and this food is in my truck, I'm going to eat it. So make sure you put this stuff out of arm's reach, because I'm telling you right now, if it's in arm reach with me, it's gone. It is absolutely gone. Like I have no self-control whatsoever if it's sitting there waiting. If I can reach it, I'm eating it. So put it out of reach, whatever you need to do to make sure you have some, but always make sure you have some food tucked away. Going along with the food, water. Make sure you always have something to drink, something to hydrate with. You get down to Arizona, in the middle of Texas, in the middle of summer, it's Florida, Georgia even with humidity, it's very hot. You want to make sure you stay hydrated. So always make sure you keep a little bit of water in your truck with you in case you need it. Get yourself a little toolbox. Get yourself a small toolbox and get some basic tools. I know you're probably signed on with it. Maybe you're not mechanically inclined. Maybe you don't want to work on a truck. Maybe you don't think it's your job. It's probably not. You're right. It's not. If you're a company driver and you're running a company truck, it's not. However, there will be a time where you want to fix that little thing that you can fix. You want to fix that marker light, or you want to fix whatever. You're going to need to fix a chain. Put a new cotter pin in the chain. You're going to need something. It's going to benefit you to just do it yourself real fast rather than wait for a shop to do it for you. So it's just basic tools, nothing special. A pair of pliers, a couple different style pair of pliers, a flathead screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, maybe a hammer. You're going to need that once in a while. Cotter pins for your chains that go in your chains. Cotter pins. Zip ties will be your best friend. Zip ties will be, mark my words, 1 year from now, 1 year from you starting your job, I'd like you to make a comment on my channel and say, man, I hate zip ties, or I love zip ties, or you're an idiot and you don't know what you're talking about, or holy smokes, you're 100% right. Because I guarantee the majority of the majority of the comments that come across are going to be, man, you were 100% right, them zip ties. I use them all the time. So zip ties. Seems simple. Make sure you carry some zip ties in your little toolkit. If you're a flatbedder, again, I'm assuming you're running with a flatbed company. They're going to give you some kind of binder bar to secure your load with. Tighten down your straps. If you're wearing snap binders, it'll close your snap binders. They're going to give you some kind of bar. Get an extra one. either buy it at the truck stop. Maybe somebody has got one that they're not trucking anymore, that you can buy it off them for cheap. Maybe your company will provide you. Get a second one. These things break. And when they break, you're done. There's nothing you can do about it. If you're using a binder bar to tighten up your winches on your straps and that tip breaks off of that thing, that's it. You're done. You have to have a binder bar. So get yourself an extra binder bar. If one breaks, make sure you get yourself another one to replace, and always keep a spare, because you will thank me for that. I promise you, you'll break it at some point. They are not as strong as everybody thinks they are. Blankets and pillows. At some point in your career, you might break down on the road, on the side of the road, and it's cold outside and you can't run your motor. You're gonna get cold. Get some blankets. Make sure you carry extra blankets, extra pillows, maybe extra jacket. I keep Carhartts in here during the winter. I take them out in the summer because you don't really, nowhere in the country are you going to need Carhartt, a full Carhartt get up in the middle of June or July. So I take them out in the summer, but I definitely put them back in. I hang them in the closet back there in the winter and make sure I always have them. Make sure I can stay warm. Good pair of winter boots is another good thing, that when winter comes in, throw them in there too. You have enough space to throw a pair of boots in, I guarantee that. And number 8, and probably to me, from a flatbedder point of view, probably one of the most important items you can make sure you always have is a measuring tape. Holy smokes! A measuring tape in some sort of way to measure your height, whether it be a high pull measuring tool like I have, or something that you can use to get your tape measure on the top of your load and measure to the ground. Tape measure. You need to measure your loads. Always measure your, even if you're running a flatbed and it is a basic load, if it's at all questionable on height, measure the load. So a tape measure, you can get a tape measure. It don't have to be a good tape measure. I think the tape measure I caught came from like Harbor Freight or one. It might be some tape measure I got for free in the mail. Like, I mean, it doesn't have to be a good tape measure, but you definitely want a tape measure. I do recommend getting a thick tape measure because it's awfully hard to run your tape measure up in the wind without it being thick. So I do recommend a wide tape measure to do your measuring with, just because of the wind factor. So those are the 8 things that I think you absolutely should always carry in your truck. There is a list of more things, but these are the 8 that I really think are pretty dang important to just make sure you always have these things. All right, so now that I've gone over the 8 things that I think you should always carry in your truck with you, let's talk about the 5 things that you should never do as a truck driver. Well, I don't know, maybe not never do it, but you should definitely be thinking of it, because you are going to make some other truck drivers, probably the motoring public too, pretty upset. These are things that I spent some time on the phone with some buddies of mine, other drivers. I asked a few guys at truck stops, and these were sort of the top 5 answers that I got on what aggravates drivers when you do it. So as a new driver, I'm begging you, and I know from an instructor's point of view, you were not taught these things. You were 100% not taught to do, and if you were taught to do these things, your instructor was wrong. 100% wrong. So from an instructor's point of view, I know that these things should not be being taught at school. So number 1, and by far, the number 1 thing that everybody said, with the exception of one person, stay in the correct lane. Holy crap. This has become a huge problem in this country. And as a new driver coming into this, I would love to see this whole thing turn around to where drivers are finally doing what they're supposed to do again, because right now we are not. As a whole in the trucking industry, we are failing. The middle lane is not a driving lane. It is not. When you're not passing someone, move over in the right lane. Ride in the right lane, not in the middle lane. I don't know where this got taught. There is some schools or instructors that I did hear that when they're going through a city, they tell guys to get into the middle lane because there's a lot of on-ramps and off-ramps coming in from the side. That I don't necessarily disagree with. When you're going through a city and there's a lot of exit and entry ramps, maybe step out there, let them cars get on and off without slowing down the highway or speeding up the highway. So I don't necessarily agree with going through a city, but if you're not in a city, get your butt over in the right lane where you belong. You are the heaviest, biggest thing on the road. You need to be in that right lane. That's where we belong, in the right lane. You know what? Number 2 on my list, I'm going to go ahead and save for last because it's personally, it is my biggest pet peeve. My absolute biggest pet peeve. I'm going to just go ahead and save it for last. So we're going to say number 2 is going to turn into number 5 here, but I'm going to get back to that one. Number 3, when you get fuel, every truck stop in the world, or at least in America, there's a guy that comes or a woman that comes out on the speaker that says, drivers, as a courtesy to other drivers, please pull ahead when you're finished fueling. It says that every day at the truck stop over and over and over, and yet people sit in the fuel island. I have no idea. Maybe there's that many people that just don't speak English. I don't know. But when you're done getting fuel, for the love of, I am begging you, for the love of Pete, do not be that guy that sits in the fuel. Pull ahead. Do not sit at a fuel island and get your 30-minute break or a 15-minute break, or that is not the place for your break. Pull ahead. That's where we belong. Pull ahead. And if you're going to be there for 30 minutes, if you're taking a 30-minute break, then pull around and find a parking space. Everybody says, oh, I can't move because I'm on electronic log. Nah, BS. You can move below 5 miles an hour. Just keep it below 5 miles an hour. Move your butt over to a parking space and take your 30-minute break over there. And don't stop traffic from flowing. These other guys probably got somewhere to be. Maybe they're in a hurry. Maybe they need fuel now because they're on a load that there was a crane waiting on them that's going to charge them $500 an hour, and you're inside taking a shower while your truck's sitting in the fuel island. That's just wrong. It's common courtesy to other drivers. So please do me the favor and let's turn this industry around where we start thinking about other drivers again, because right now we as a whole again are failing on this one. There is a lot of people that sit at fuel islands. Number 4, and this one really surprised me that it got brought up as much as it did. Do not watch a movie while you're going down the road. What is wrong with this world? Distracted driving is a thing. Distracted driving, I'm driving right now. I am not looking at the camera. I am watching where I'm going. I'm just happen to be talking about things that are in my head. It's no different than being on the phone. But I drive past people and they got their foot up on the dashboard, got socks on or flip-flops on or no socks at all, flip-flop, they got their foot up on the dashboard and they got a movie playing on a tablet on their screen or on their dashboard. Are you kidding me? We are professionals. We are the professional driver. That's what you signed up to be. That's what you went to school for. You became a professional driver. I don't think watching a movie going down the road with your foot up on the dashboard is very professional. The only thing you're lacking right there is a bowl of popcorn. So, do me a favor. Let's turn this profession around. Let's make us all professionals again. Take your foot down off the dashboard. Stop watching movies while you're driving down the road. You got to be kidding me. Like, I just don't. It amazes me when I see that. And number 5, the last thing on this list, without me going into my personal pet peeve, number 5 is just be courteous to other drivers. Courteous to the motoring public, especially courteous to other professional drivers. Move out of the way when you need to be moved out of the way. Help a driver out. You see a driver on the side of the road, jump on your CB, ask him if he's okay. That's what it used to be. That's the way we used to do it. Before cell phones, before all this other stuff, we used to jump on the CB, or we just pull over and say, hey man, you need a hand? Check on guys. Be courteous to other drivers. Be courteous to the motoring public. When I was an instructor, there was something I always told my students, and I still believe that this holds true. The difference between a good driver and a great driver is whether everybody around you never has to wonder what you're going to do. That's the difference. Use your turn signals. Don't make sudden movements. Don't do things that catch people off guard. Be courteous to the other drivers on the road. They are probably not going to be courteous to you. It happens a lot, especially in the four-wheeler world. The car world that's driving around us, they're probably not going to, and a lot of them are, but a lot of them are not. Everybody's, it's a me world right now, and everybody thinks that their stuff is more important than the next person's, and they might not be courteous. They might not be courteous to you, but that doesn't mean you should take the high road on this one. Take the high road and be the professional. I long for the day where we turn our profession back into what it used to be, back into where we truly were professional drivers and everyone looked up to us as being the best people on the road. Those people, those motoring cars that went by us, they knew that we would always do the right thing, and they knew that if we were going to move, they would know we were going to move. And I'd like to see that again someday. So that takes me to, that was fifth on the list, and that takes me to my personal pet peeve, which is number 2 on my list. But again, this is not in any certain order. This is my personal pet peeve. Merging into traffic. Holy crap. I have no idea what is going on in this world where everyone thinks that when you come up that lane, when you get on the highway, and that is called an acceleration lane. When you're exiting the highway, that's called a deceleration lane. That is what that's called. And it's exactly what it means. If you're getting on the highway, accelerate to highway speed. It is not the highway's job to slow down the entire highway so you can get on the highway. You are not that important. You're just not. I am not, you are not, and nobody else is. Get to highway speed, or if you can't get to highway speed, then slow down and wait till you got to open enough spot where you can get out in traffic and get yourself up to speed without impeding traffic on the highway. The highway should never have to slow down because you decided to get on the road. The highway should never have to slow down because you decided to get off the road. You can tell I'm sort of passionate about this. And that one kind of goes with, if you have to pull over on the side of the road for an emergency, first off, if it's not a true emergency, like you need to be pulled over right now, then find a ramp. Find a rest area, find something where you're completely off the road and you don't have to worry about motoring public, and the motoring public doesn't have to worry about you. Other trucks don't have to worry about you. You know how it is. If someone's sitting on the side of the road with flashing lights, the courtesy is to move lanes. This turns into a complete cluster for a lot of people. So if you're there for some dumb reason that you don't need to be sitting on the side of the road, you could have waited till an exit ramp, then you're messing up traffic for no reason at all. So if you can, if it's not an immediate emergency that you need to pull over for, then pull over on a ramp. Do it where you're out of the way. Pull over in a rest area, whatever. Somewhere that's a little bit safer than just pulling over on the berm of a road. Now, if you have an emergency and you need to get over right now, then get over. Like, absolutely. But once that emergency is over and you're now getting back on the road, do your best to get up to what we always taught in truck driving school was to make sure you get yourself up to about 45 mile an hour before you merge back into traffic. It's hard to do on berms. I get it. It really is. There's a lot of debris. Sometimes the berms aren't long enough. It's hard to do. Maybe you can. But do everything you can to get up to as close to road speed as you can before you merge back over. Again, not the highway's job to slow down to allow you to get back on. You are not that important. So, there you go. Those are the 8 things that I think you should always have with you, and the 5 things that I would really love to see people stop doing. And I hope that starts with all you guys, the new drivers coming into this market. I hope you take that to heart. You see other people doing it. I promise you it's going to aggravate you. Now that you've heard me say this, and if you believe in what I'm saying, and once you see it on the road, you're going to say to yourself, yeah, man, he was right. That's annoying. Like, why are they doing that? So I appreciate you tuning in. For those of you that are new to the channel, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was useful to you. If you're new, this is the first time on the channel, welcome. I hope you consider subscribing to the channel. If you're coming back to the channel and you're a veteran, thanks for returning. I appreciate it. Please leave a comment below. If there's something if there's something else that you think, a new driver could do or not do, that would help out our industry, get us back to being professional, please leave a comment below. I know a lot of my subscribers are drivers, and they got a lot of great ideas. So if there's something that you think that the newer CDL carriers should know, go ahead and put a comment below. Let everybody see it. If there's something you also think that people should carry, and I didn't list it on my list, then man, leave a comment below. Let them know, hey, this is what I do, this is what I carry, and it works out well. I appreciate everybody watching. I hope everybody has a great day, and we'll talk to you on the next one.
Driving trucks, eating chicken, trucking, finger licking, trying to keep it in between the lines. Bird dog.